Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Echo No More. I am Storm Kennedy, and this is my personal story of surviving narcissistic abuse, post-separation abuse, and family court corruption. Before I continue with my personal story, I want to update you on some more current events regarding domestic violence and family court failures. First one I want to talk about is an 11-year-old girl from California who died while on a visit with her father. And this little girl's mother had warned the courts, told them many times of her concerns regarding the fact that her daughter had severe asthma, and the father would leave the daughter with the girlfriend who had no idea how to take care of this little girl. Well, during this visit, this 11-year-old little girl, while in the care of the father's girlfriend, died from a severe asthma attack after the family courts refused to listen to the mother. The mother was very attentive to her daughter's needs, and this death could have been prevented had family courts done what they should have done. Earlier this month, a 15-year-old boy from Texas decided that he could not handle the fact that his girlfriend broke up with him, and he went to her house and murdered her mother and her two younger siblings. His ex-girlfriend was the target, but she just happened to not be home at the time. The police said that this teenage boy already had a documented history of jealousy, possessiveness, and escalating anger. And they said these are classic signs of coercive control and pre-violence behaviors, but unfortunately, they are often dismissed in young relationships. Where do you think this boy learned these behaviors from? In Indianapolis, right after Christmas, and right after a mother filed for a protective order against her husband, but wasn't able to get one because it was a holiday weekend, that husband ended up going to the house and killing her in front of her 4 children. Her 10-year-old daughter was the one who called 911, saying that her father had a gun and had just shot her mother before he left the house. Another brutal attack in Indiana. An Indiana police officer, brutally beat his girlfriend, bit her, punched her, kicked her, and then screamed at her for bleeding all over the apartment. We wonder why domestic violence is ignored. When law enforcement is doing it, who's going to help the victims? There was a 5-year-old boy found dead in Alabama during his 5-day visit with his father. This father only got 5 days out of the whole year, and the reason being because he was violent, he made threats, and he exhibited dangerous behavior. But yet he was still given unsupervised visits with his children. He had an older child through a different relationship who later came out and stated that she cried telling the courts what kind of a monster her father was back when she was a child, and they fucking ignored her. Now her younger sibling is dead. Another woman from Bakersfield, California, was murdered in front of her son by her husband, and he told police he did it because she cheated on him, which was probably not true. Another woman from Tennessee was murdered by her abuser, beaten to death, and he threw her outside naked in the backyard while the paramedics were on the way. Her children were sleeping in the house when this happened. Another woman from San Diego, California, who had a temporary restraining order against her husband for being physically abusive and for trying to force her to remove her clothes so that he could inspect her body because he believed that she was cheating. With having that temporary order in place, he then drove his car through her house, locked them in the bathroom, set the house on fire, and they both died. Another woman from Cincinnati, Ohio, was murdered by her abuser. He beat her to death with a homemade wooden club, and he did this while she was sleeping. Her children were in the house, and they heard every impact made on their mother's body. Another murder in Ohio was a woman and her husband. They were found dead in their home, and the person who killed them was her ex from 8 years prior. This man waited 8 years to kill this woman and her current husband, which is proof that when these psychopaths have their sights set on destroying somebody, they will stop at nothing, and no time will become a barrier. You think you're safe 20 years down the road? You're not. And this murderer, this violent abuser, is an Illinois surgeon. So it's not just middle class or lower class. It's happening to everybody. And these psychopaths are everywhere. Another woman from California on Christmas Day was beaten to death by her husband. He ended up propping her body up on the couch so that their children would think that their mom was still alive while they opened up their Christmas presents. And he told the kids, "Oh, your mom's fine. She's just a little hungover from last night." When in reality, she was fucking dead because he murdered her that morning. And just last week, a man from Idaho murdered his wife, shooting her and killing her, and then killing himself after calling 911. This man was 43 years old. His wife was only 23 years old, and they had 3 children, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn baby. This country is concerned about men being lonely right now and considering it a crisis. What about innocent people being murdered by psychotic, enraged, abusive men? That's not a crisis? When the fuck is it gonna be a crisis? When is anybody gonna do anything to stop this shit? These are all people who it's been documented that they are abusive, that they are making these threats, that they are doing all these horrible things to people. Police don't want to step in. Family court doesn't want to step in. Nobody wants to stop it until people are dead. I would really like to know when victims and survivors are going to be taken seriously. When is their safety going to be prioritized? When is the children's safety going to be prioritized? Why is it that abusive men are at the top of the fucking food chain? Today, I am not going to discuss more of my history regarding my personal story. I'm going to talk more about what's going on currently with my story. Before I got deeply involved with the narc, I did not fully understand what a real narcissist was. I had heard the term narcissist, and I had heard of some things that explain narcissism, being mostly concerned with yourself, not having empathy, lying a lot, stuff like that. But I didn't understand the depths of it when it came to a narcissist with psychopathy. I didn't understand how dangerous these people really are. When I went back to school and I started taking classes online, that's when I started studying psychology. And the reason I chose to study psychology is because I wanted to figure out exactly what the fuck was wrong with this guy. I had never in my life encountered somebody that did so many horrible, disgusting things and didn't even try to hide the fact that they enjoyed what they were doing. It was literally terrifying living in that house. The first abnormal psych class that I took discussed personality disorders. That's when I learned that this man had narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. According to the Mayo Clinic, symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder can vary from person to person, and the severity can be different from person to person. But the symptoms are that they have an unreasonably high sense of self-importance. They demand constant and excessive admiration. They feel they deserve special treatment and privileges. They recognize themselves as superior over others. They make their achievements and talents seem much bigger than what they really are. They're preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. They believe they are superior to others and can only spend time with or be understood by equally special people. They are critical of and look down on people they feel are not important. They expect special favors, and they expect people to do what they want without questioning them. They take advantage of others to get what they want. They have an inability or an unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. They are envious of others, but they believe others are envious of them. They're very arrogant arrogant and they brag and come across as conceited. And they insist on having the best of everything, but they want the best of everything without working for it. They become impatient and angry when they do not receive special treatment. They have significant problems interacting with others. They react with rage or contempt and try to belittle other people to make themselves appear superior. Basically, they're bullies. They have difficulty managing their emotions and behavior. They experience extreme problems dealing with stress and adapting to change. They avoid situations where they think they might fail. And they have secret feelings of insecurity, shame, humiliation, and fear. Antisocial personality disorder is sometimes called sociopathy, which is a mental health condition in which the person consistently shows no regard for right and wrong and ignores the rights and feelings of others. They purposely make others angry or upset and manipulate or treat others harshly or with cruel indifference. And they have a complete lack of remorse, and they do not regret anything that they do. They often have an extensive criminal history. They have a history of being violent and impulsive, and they have problems with drugs and alcohol. People with antisocial personality disorder lie as a way to take advantage of others. They are not sensitive or respectful to others in any way. They use charm or wit to manipulate others for their personal gain or pleasure. They have a heightened sense of superiority. They are extremely opinionated. They have issues with the law, which includes criminal behavior. They are extremely hostile, aggressive, violent, and threatening towards others. They feel absolutely no guilt about harming others. They justify everything that they do to make themselves believe that their actions are okay. They do dangerous things with no regard for the safety of others. They're extremely irresponsible, and they often show their aggression towards not only people but also animals. They lie, they steal, they destroy property. They do not abide by any rules or laws because they believe they are above the rules and the laws. I had to do a case study for my abnormal psych class, and it was supposed to be on a fictitious person. My case study was on the narc. I changed his name for the case study, but everything else that I included were facts about the things that he had done throughout his life. In this case study, I diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, which the two combined are one of the most dangerous people that you can ever meet. Serial killers have this combination of personality disorders. I got an A on that case study. The only part that I lost points on was that I did not include the dangers that they could potentially have from being in therapy. As I move forward with future episodes detailing the abuse that not only I went through, but my children and my dog experienced, you will then understand why I believe that this man has both of these personality disorders combined. I have a daughter with this man. She just turned 6 years old, and the family courts have ordered us to have 50-50 custody, but they gave him decision making. The reason he got decision making was because my daughter's therapist testified in court to her belief that he is abusing our daughter. My daughter disclosed abuse several times in their therapy sessions, and this therapist reported it to DCFS every time. The GAL, who is actually a criminal defense attorney, accused me of making the DCFS reports. She worked with his attorney to paint a picture that I was just trying to alienate him from our daughter. The judge did not take any of her testimony into consideration. And her, I mean the therapist. And from what I understand, it's because she did not communicate with the narc while she was treating my daughter. When a child discloses abuse to a therapist, that therapist cannot discuss anything with the named abuser because it puts their client at risk for their safety. That's one of the loopholes used in the parental alienation scam that family court uses to take children away from their safe parents and place them with the abusive parent. The plenary order of protection that I had in place against this man was not taken into consideration. The domestic violence that I endured, the narcissistic abuse, the verbal abuse, the emotional abuse, the psychological abuse, the sexual abuse, the financial abuse that I all endured while I was with this man was fucking ignored or not even allowed to be brought up in court. His criminal history, I was not allowed to bring up in court, which includes attempted murder, several domestic violence charges, battery, assault, burglary, arson, countless drug charges, countless DUIs. None of it could be brought up to the judge. I originally had domestic violence advocate attorneys representing me for our family court case who did nothing to help my daughter. All they did was try to gaslight me into minimizing the abuse and agreeing to a 50-50 schedule. I was accused of unilaterally putting her in therapy without his consent when it was actually her pediatrician who sent out referrals to have my daughter put in therapy because she originally thought my daughter was developmentally delayed when in fact she was regressing from trauma. My daughter got to the point where she was dissociating and she had to have a 72-hour EEG study done to rule out absent seizures. GAL in the case spoke to my daughter's pediatrician and knew all of this to be facts. She even had access to her medical records, but she conveniently left all of that out of both of her reports and her testimony in court, and I was not allowed to bring it up because if I said it, it was hearsay. This is all caused by the man who has my daughter 50% of the time. He no longer allows her to go to therapy. Even if he were to pick the therapist, he still will not let her go. You want to know why? Because he knows he'll be fucking exposed if she does. My daughter, even at 6 years old, still sometimes reverts to baby talking. She has horrible nightmares. She literally begs me not to go to his house. A few times she has gotten to the point where she has literally told me, I'm not going and you can't make me. When I pick her up to bring her back home, the first thing she says to me is, "It's over now, Mommy." And I have to tell her, "No, baby, it's not over yet." And then she'll ask me, "When is it over?" And I have to just tell her, "I don't know, baby. Not yet." She has stopped disclosing details of abuse, which I'm assuming is because he told her that she can't. She'll just say now, "He's mean." And when I ask what happened, she says, "I can't say." She tells me, "Daddy said you hate me because I'm not smart." And I tell her, "Baby, I could never hate you. Don't listen to those lies. Don't ever believe anything like that, no matter who says it to you." Her birthday just passed and I threw her a party. I asked her if she wanted to invite her friends from school, and she said, "I can't. Daddy said I'll get in trouble." She also told me that she gets in trouble if she wants to be by me when I go to her dance class, and she gets in trouble if she wants to talk to me during our Saturday night video chats. She never wants to talk to him during his video chats, but she tells me that if she doesn't talk to him, she'll get in trouble. He has also told her that I am trying to make her sick by allowing her to have pets, saying that she is allergic to cats and dogs. She's not allergic to anything, but that's what he tells her. Just like he told his son, who has albinism, that he is albino because his mother poisoned him. I have tried bringing up my concerns about my daughter to the narc, very non-threatening and in a professional manner, in the Talking Parents app that we have to use for court. The only response I ever get from him is him swearing at me, him calling me a liar, him calling me several other names, and accusing me of making everything up. Meanwhile, I have countless recordings of my daughter begging not to go with him. I have countless recordings of her nightmares. I even have recordings of us at the exchange with him standing there and her still begging not to go. And the judge hasn't been able to see any of it yet. I've even been told in the past that it might look worse on me because I recorded it. How the fuck else am I going to get the proof? I will say this. I do feel like my current attorney is fighting for us. He does believe me and my daughter, and I just pray that the day comes soon where everything changes. before my daughter is completely destroyed by this monster. Thanks for listening. Until next time, this is Echo No More, and I'm Storm Kennedy. Stay safe.